Last night in Anaheim, the Hurricanes ran their record to 4-0 on the season. I like to say you can't go 82-0 without going 4-0. Tripp Tracy, Hurricanes game analyst, my friend. How good will they be when the top line starts playing well?
I mean, they will certainly find yet another level. But, there's been an adjustment for Ehlers, but there's no doubt that last night was Jarvis's best game of the young season. And not just, he was so candid in the first two games when he scored, AG, that there were holes in his game that we've come to rely upon. And I thought it was pretty darn complete last night. And other than the face-off circle where Aho struggled last night, he had a nice complete game too. So I feel like they're building, and the Hurricanes are being carried by some other really positive individual and dimensional stories.
Tripp Tracy is joining us here. So let's go to the blue line, which to me has driven everything, because I can't find anybody on the back end who is not playing well. And they've gone the last two without Jacob Slavin, and I would argue they've played 4 games without the real Jacob Slavin. He was clearly bothered by something during training camp, which is why he was in and out of practice, why he didn't play a preseason game. And I had said for all I remember, it might have been you, but I had said even as he was playing well in the first period of game against the Devils, I thought he looked like he had a hard time changing direction skating. So something was bothering him, and then he played just 16 and a half minutes in the game against Philadelphia, left that game, did not come back. He hadn't played these on the road trip, and he won't. But when you've got Shane Gostisbehere playing the way he's playing, Sean Walker, Keandre Miller, Mike Riley steps in the lineup, I mean, this is a complete – the blue line has been incredible.
We obviously know that you cannot replace Jacob Slavin when he's Jacob Slavin individually, and it's got to be collectively. And you just hit on the collective effort. I mean, Walker's been terrific. Keandre Miller has had, for the most part, a seamless adjustment. By the way, a quick mention on Miller last night, and Nikishin, the man of the hour now. The Hurricanes are like a pack of wolves right now, that they're standing up for each other. And that's a positive development from years past and all the other positive things going on. Gostisbehere is as good of a story as they've got, plain and simple, at both ends of the ring.
Yeah.
See, +9, he's got 7 points, and it's the best defensive hockey.
Yeah.
And then to see his I mean, he makes a brilliant play on Jarvis' 100th goal as a Hurricane to surprise the Anaheim player. He was the central part of that goal. But then to see the leader that he is for young Alexander Nikishin, his joy, the whole celebration was fantastic. But Gostisbehere in particular, I mean, he's been as good of a story as they've gotten. In the 2 games that Mike Riley has played, he's looked every bit like the veteran that you knew you were getting.
I talked to Shane before the Philadelphia game because it's hard to talk to Alexander Nikishin, although I loved the interview that Hannah Yates did with him yesterday. By the way, wish her happy birthday.
She's standing right next to me.
Wish her happy birthday.
Loves your interview, and he wishes you happy birthday.
So the one answer he gave in English, I'm going to make that my ringtone. Right? It was so good. Like, thank you. Blocked shot, work hard, forecheck, shoots on goal. Perfect. We don't.
He says he's making his first answer his ringtone. Yeah,
it's just the greatest thing.
Same.
But I talked to Shane before the Philly game, and here's a veteran who has been given a responsibility to get this guy, up to speed and in many ways protect him, look out, not physically, of course, because he does not need that kind of protection, but just to kind of make his transition to the NHL as easy as possible. But Shane's got all these other things going on, and he's playing his offside, but he could not have been more interested to talk about Nikishin. Like, I almost felt bad not asking him about his own game, but he was all right just talking about Alexander. And like the veteran leadership that he is showing, Like, that's captain stuff.
You bet it is. And, I think it was after the win over his first NHL team, Philadelphia, last Saturday. On the off day, I reached out to Shane, and I said, he won a national championship at Union. I said, did you wear a letter, Shane? And he did. So you have guys that are ready to be leaders in the NHL, relish being leaders in the NHL. Shane Gostisbehere is a perfect example that he knows his game's in order, but he can also simultaneously help this young kid, and with tremendous enthusiasm and care. Jalen Chatfield, is a guy that was the captain of Windsor when they won the Memorial Cup. So, you're getting tremendous leadership. But Gostisbehere, I remember watching that Union team win a national championship. We were actually in Philadelphia at the time, and he was a captain on that team. And he's looking every bit like a leader so far this year.
Yeah, it's one of the things that jumped out to me, and I'm not trying to compare this team to 2006, was how many players in that locker room could have worn not just the C. There's only one guy that was going to wear the C on that team, but how many guys could have worn A's in that locker room back in 2006? And there's a lot of that, I think, with this group. Jarvis plays that way. We all know that. The Staal line all plays that way. That line, to me, they set the tone for the game with that very first shift, which is probably longer than Rod Brind'amour would have wanted Staal's line to be on the ice for that shift, but they owned the puck in the offensive zone. There was no reason to leave. It ended up drawing a penalty. Let me ask you about the power play. Jackson Blake, Tripp Tracy, is joining us. Jackson Blake goes on to the first unit. Andrei Svechnikov flips to the second unit, which had been the better unit through 3 games. It didn't get off to a good start, but I thought that Blake's vision created the power play goal.
Okay, totally agree with you. And it was the focus of the second intermission for me, was that vision that he brings. On that Jarvis one-timer, I love how Jarvis drifted wide because it makes it a further distance to travel for Dostal, the Anaheim goaltender. I mean, it's a perfect shot. But I loved how that one-timer, he drifted outside the dots at the last second. But when I looked at the clip, actually when Hannah was interviewing Jackson, I could see that with that vision, he took a peek, 2 or 3 seconds before he was available for receiving the pass, and he knew Jarvis was there. That's the type of vision that he's got. And you also mentioned the Staal line, AG. I thought that they had a really important shift after those 2 junk power plays in the first period, too, because the game could have gone south in a hurry. And, they didn't allow it to deflate those 2 junk power plays. And you fast forward, the game-winning goals on the power play with that tweak of putting Jackson there. I know you've had that thought in your head for a while now, so you look pretty darn good on that one. And then your penalty kill was stellar. So You won the special teams department, and I give that Staal crew just a lot of credit, because after those 2 power plays in the first period that were no good, and you oftentimes see your team fall off, that's aside from the shift that opened the game, they had a couple quality ones there to not allow it to affect what they were doing.
Yeah, it took me back to the game against the Devils, where I thought Carolina was really good in the first period, except for the power plays. I think they had 3 of them against the Devils, didn't do anything with them, and it kind of soured the entire first period. So it certainly can go the other way. It's good that they got a power play goal, and the penalty kill continues to be great. Freddie Andersen, I know Rod said after the game last night he thought it might have been Anderson's best game as a Hurricane. I don't know. There's a lot of games to choose from. But Freddie, really saved them. Cutter Gauthier could have had 4 goals last night. And then the save he makes on Kreider in the third period, really from his stomach, was just tremendous. I loved Freddie last night.
Yeah, just to quickly on that Kreider save in the third period, the fact that he, for such a big guy, he got low when the puck was in the slot to try to locate where the puck was at. He was determined through traffic. That's usually a barometer for me to see if a goalie is truly dialed in, is how determined is he to locate pucks through traffic. But it ended up being a huge benefit because he was so low. He's already in a position to have explosive movement from his left to his right to make that save. And the save, I thought the biggest save of the game, that was the most stylish save. The biggest save of the game was the save he made right after Carlson made it 2-1.
On Vetrano.
2-2 in a blink. That is massive. That, the building would have gotten going. That save changed the course of the hockey game for me. And I'd be remiss, partner, if I didn't, mention, Rod makes the ultimate decision, but Paul Schoenfelder, the trust to go with Bussy in San Jose, I strongly believe a lot of teams would not have done that. And built within that, aside from Brandon delivering against the Sharks, is it gave Freddie Anderson a pocket of rest in the event you have to roll him. Here is the gauntlet of the trip truly begins tomorrow in LA.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's almost like progressive with Stanley Cup contenders, although Vegas, Colorado, and Dallas are pretty close when it comes to best in the West. But I don't know how you feel about Anaheim. I think they're a playoff team, and I think they will be in the play. They're too good, and the veterans that they've got, I think, will play well. And I love Staal in net. I think he's a tremendous goalie. All right, final thing for you, Tripp Tracy, and then we'll go. We'll let you help celebrate Hannah Yates' birthday with a hike. Do you have any level of concern that we are 4 games in, and Andrei Svechnikov and Nick Ehlers have one fewer point than Will Carrier?
I don't have a concern with Ehlers because I think that he's looked better and better, as the 4 games have progressed. I see situations with his playmaking ability in particular that guys are not prepared for the puck to come their way.
Right.
There was one partial change in the second period where Jackson Blake, other than, on the power play, doesn't play with him, but he was, not prepared for a cross-ice pass. So I don't have a concern with regards to Ehlers. I'd love to see him get on the board because, that's the expediting factor for any player with a new team. Svechnikov, I thought he took steps after that reassignment in San Jose. He had moments, positive and negative last night, but what I like the most, AG, it's a small thing, but he's not on the board yet, and he still goes out with Hannah's post-game interview and serves as a translator. I think that's a really positive sign because that's a team-first mindset. I think he's taken some subtle steps here in the last couple of games, but, he's going to have to shoot more pucks, hold on to more pucks, and he's going to have to be a physical presence and learn the physicality medium that he needs to achieve in the regular season.
Tripp Tracy, Hurricanes game analyst, my friend. I will talk with you tomorrow before we get to the Canes and the Kings' third installment of the 6-game deep fried road trip. I appreciate your time, sir.
Adam, thank you. And Hannah, do you want to just give a shout out to the Radio Nation?
Shout out to the Radio Nation.
Don't hurt Tripp today.
She's battling my slowing metabolism. I usually just stay in the hotel. It's her birthday, so I got no excuses to go out and get a 6-mile hike to the Hollywood side. Hydrate, Tripp.
All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
See ya.
Bye.
Oh, man, too bad Frank isn't with them. Frank would love that.
Yeah, Frank would. He would be leading the way.
I know.
He would be leading the way.